There are moments in life that split you clean down the middle, before and after. For me, that dividing line came wrapped in ribbons and balloons. I'd spent weeks planning her birthday. Not just any birthday. Her 30th. The big 3-0. A milestone. A moment. A night she'd remember forever. And I was going to make it perfect. Emily had always talked about how she never had a real birthday party growing up. No glittering candles, no surprise guests jumping from behind couches. So I thought I'd fix that. I wanted to give her the kind of memory you tuck away in your heart, to pull out when the years grow heavy. Something warm and golden to hold on to. The plan was simple but detailed, painstakingly so. I rented the rooftop lounge at Leona's downtown. It was her favorite spot. High ceilings, warm light, and that giant oak tree that sprouted right through the floor, string lights weaving through the branches like fireflies. She loved that tree. Said it made her feel like magic was real. I called her friends, her co-workers, even her estranged cousin Olivia, who she hadn't seen since their falling out over some dumb family feud. I baked her favorite cake myself, double chocolate raspberry, with layers so rich they stuck to the knife like wet velvet. I made a playlist of songs she hummed while folding laundry. I even bought her a dress I'd seen her eyeing months ago in a boutique window, the one she never splurged on because it was too much. It was hanging behind the bedroom door that evening, a note pinned to it, "Wear me. It's your night." Everything was ready. I arrived at Leona's 2 hours early. The staff had strung the lights, the champagne was chilling, and the custom neon sign that read, 30, flirty, and thriving, buzzed softly above the bar. I did a final check of the seating chart, ensuring that every guest was seated near someone they liked, or at least someone who didn't talk politics. As 7 o'clock rolled around, guests started to trickle in. Smiling faces, laughter, the kind of excitement that buzzes low in the chest. People whispered about how excited Emily would be, how surprised. I could feel it building, the anticipation of the big reveal, the moment when she'd walk through the doors and light up the room. Only she didn't. By 7:30, I started making excuses. Traffic's probably crazy. She might have stopped for coffee. You know how she is, always running late. But by 8:15, the energy shifted. Smiles began to wilt. Conversations turned from bubbly to brittle. People started checking their phones, murmuring about babysitters and early mornings. The DJ caught my eye with a look that asked if he should keep playing or pack it up. I kept smiling, pretending not to notice the time. I texted her once, "You almost here?" Then again, "Everything okay?" No response. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. By 9 o'clock, most of the guests had left. Some gave awkward hugs and empty reassurances. "She'll love it when she sees the photos," they said, not meeting my eyes. A few stayed to help pack up, their silence loud. Olivia gave me a long, pitying look before slipping out, heels clicking against the rooftop floor like tiny hammers on glass. The night deflated like a balloon popped too soon. I stayed behind after everyone left, sitting in one of the gold-rimmed chairs, staring at the untouched cake. The frosting had started to melt, and the fruit topping looked like it had been weeping. The music had stopped, the lights dimmed, but I stayed, because the thought of going home felt heavier than the room around me. She never showed. That alone was strange. Emily wasn't flaky. She wasn't the type to forget things. And certainly not the kind to ghost her own husband on her birthday. Especially not after the morning we'd had. We'd woken up tangled together, sleepy smiles, lazy kisses. She told me she had a big client meeting and might be late, but that we'd celebrate later. "Don't go overboard," she'd said, pecking my cheek before disappearing into her car. I remember watching her drive off, thinking how lucky I was, thinking how she was mine. But now, sitting in the echo of what was supposed to be her big night, all I could think was, where the hell is she? When I finally made it home just after midnight, the house was silent. Not unusual. Emily often stayed with her friend Talia after late nights at work. But her toothbrush was missing. So was her travel bag. And the dress I'd bought? Still hanging where I left it. I sat on the edge of our bed, heart a slow thunder in my chest. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones, the way you sense a storm before it hits. Heavy air, electric, and uneasy. The next morning, I called her office. Her assistant told me Emily had taken the day off. "She said she had plans with you," the assistant said casually. "Didn't she?" I mumbled something about a surprise, then hung up. I texted Talia. "Emily with you last night." She replied almost instantly. No, haven't seen her since Tuesday. Why? My stomach dropped. It was Sunday now. 48 hours since I'd seen my wife. 48 hours without a word. Panic bled into dread. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced the house, checked our credit card accounts, her email. Nothing out of the ordinary. No charges, no signs of where she might have gone. I thought about calling the police, but what would I even say? My wife missed her birthday party, so she must be missing? I opened her laptop. It wasn't password protected. Emily never bothered with passwords at home. I clicked through her recent files, hoping for a clue, anything. That's when I saw it. A folder tucked away deep in the downloads. No name, just a string of random letters and numbers. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Emily, but not with me. They weren't obvious. No kissing, no hand-holding. But the way she looked at him, at this tall, sharp-featured man with a sly smile and designer sneakers, said everything. Her eyes sparkled in a way I hadn't seen in months. My breath caught in my throat. I clicked through photo after photo, coffee shops, hotel lobbies, a beach I didn't recognize. Each one a dagger. And then I saw the last image. Dated the night of her birthday. She was in a bar I didn't know, sitting across from him, laughing, his hand resting casually on her thigh. She looked radiant. That was the night she was supposed to be with me. The night I stood alone on a rooftop surrounded by balloons and fairy lights, waiting. And she was with him. I didn't sleep the night I found the photos. I sat in the dark, the blue glow of the laptop screen painting everything in sterile light. My eyes burned from staring, from trying to make sense of what I was seeing. My wife, smiling at a man I'd never met. Laughing, glowing, radiant in a way she hadn't been with me in a long time. That look, God, that look. I kept replaying it in my mind, trying to trace its origin, to pinpoint the first moment she started looking at someone else like that. Was it during the week she came home humming a new song, something I'd never heard before? Or the time she came back from a girls' spa day and smelled of unfamiliar cologne? I brushed it off as part of the spa ambience, something used in the oils or candles. I wanted to believe her. I always did. But the thing about betrayal is that once you see it, it colors everything in hindsight. The next morning, I stayed home from work. I couldn't face anyone. I couldn't bear the thought of casual conversations or lunchroom banter while my life lay smoldering beneath the surface. I moved like a ghost through the house, barely registering the familiar walls, the framed photos, the scent of her perfume clinging to the sheets. I opened the closet, half expecting to see signs of absence. A suitcase missing, clothes gone. But everything was there. The dress I'd bought her still hung untouched behind the door, the tag fluttering gently in the draft from the vent. Her shoes were neatly aligned, makeup organized just the way she liked. It was all so normal, so painfully intact. Except her. She still hadn't come home. Her phone was off, or maybe blocked. My texts remained unread, unacknowledged. I called her mother, left a polite message asking if Emily had visited. I got a call back hours later. "No, dear," her mother said kindly. "Not since the last brunch." There was no concern in her voice, just confusion. "Is everything okay?" I said yes. I always say yes, even when everything is burning. By Wednesday, something inside me snapped. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Not in the fiery, shouting way. What I felt was colder, like ice cracking slowly across a lake. Quiet, eerie, inevitable. I needed to know who he was. I remembered his face from the photos, his jawline too sharp to be accidental, his hair stylish in that effortless, expensive kind of way. In one photo, a lanyard peeked from his jacket pocket with a company logo I recognized. Arclight Strategies, a marketing consultancy based in the city. It took less than an hour of digging online to find him. Marcus Dale, senior consultant. Public LinkedIn profile, professional bio, and even a few event photos. Always the same smug grin, always surrounded by people who looked like they were auditioning for a tech startup commercial. It made my skin crawl. I found his Instagram, set to private, but his profile photo matched the one in Emily's pictures. I couldn't see his posts, but I could see his followers. And buried in the list of familiar names was one that punched me square in the chest. Emily. I clicked her profile. Public. There were no damning photos. Nothing obvious. But the captions, they felt different now. Friday light. She'd written beneath a photo of her wine glass on a rooftop. I remembered that night. She'd told me she was at a book club. We're discussing that new thriller. I'll be late, okay? That was 3 weeks before the party. I stared at the photo until the glass blurred. Then I got up and walked into the bathroom. The room where I'd first noticed it, the change, the missing towel, the faint scent of something not mine. A feeling. I opened the medicine cabinet. The birth control was still there. A blister pack, half empty, tucked behind a bottle of ibuprofen. Emily hadn't needed birth control since my vasectomy 2 years ago. I'd asked her then if she wanted to stop taking it, and she'd shrugged, said it helped with cramps, said she liked the routine. But that never sat right. And now, staring at the foil packs, the dates lined up too perfectly. I opened my laptop again, created a new folder titled Evidence. Inside, I dragged the photos, the screenshots, even a screen recording of her Instagram. It felt surreal, like I was a detective investigating the woman I used to fall asleep next to. By Friday, a full week since the party, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I needed more. Not for the courts or lawyers. For me. For closure. For the story. Because if there was one thing I knew, it was that this wouldn't end with a simple apology. No explanation would ever undo the fact that she chose him, that she missed the one night I tried to give her the world. I contacted a private investigator. Old school guy, came recommended by a friend who went through something similar. Discreet. Thorough. No questions asked. His name was Whit. He wore a beige coat even in the sun and had the kind of eyes that made you feel like he already knew everything you were about to say. She's been gone for a week? He asked, scribbling in a battered notebook. Almost. And you want me to find out if she's living with him? I want everything, I said. Where she goes, who she sees, what she says. Whit nodded. You'll have it. He handed me a contract and a quote that made my stomach turn, but I signed anyway. What else was I going to spend the money on? A vow renewal? That night, I stripped the bed. I couldn't stand the scent anymore. I changed the sheets, opened all the windows, let the autumn air spill into the house like a cleansing flood. I stood barefoot on the balcony, watching the leaves rustle under the streetlights, and wondered how many other men had done this, stood in their marital home, wondering how everything had slipped through their fingers. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was from an unknown number. A single photo. Emily and Marcus, seated at an outdoor cafe, her hand on his chest, his lips brushing her temple. My hands didn't shake. My breathing didn't falter. I stared at the image and felt something settle inside me. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Clarity. It was time to stop being the one left behind. If she wanted a new life, she could have it. But I'd make sure she never forgot the one she threw away. It didn't take long. By Sunday, he delivered a manila folder to my door. No envelope, no digital trail. Just hard, tangible proof. Inside, photos, timestamps, typed notes with names and addresses. Emily had been staying at Marcus's apartment in the Seaforth Lofts, a sleek glass and steel building downtown that overlooked the river like it owned it. I knew the place. Expensive, exclusive, and arrogant. Just like him. The photos painted a portrait in muted grays and faded blues. Emily slipping into the building late at night. Leaving early in workout gear. Walking his dog. He had a dog. A golden retriever named Jasper, according to Whit's notes. They grocery shopped together. Laughed together. She cooked. He watched. She leaned into him. He kissed her hair. Not a one-time thing. Not a fling. A life. A life I wasn't in. I sat at the kitchen table with the folder spread in front of me like a roadmap through hell. The coffee I made hours ago sat cold in the mug beside me. I didn't touch it. I just stared. It was happening in plain sight, yet I'd seen none of it. I'd been living next to a ghost, a replica of my wife, wearing her face, borrowing her voice. Now the illusion was gone, and what remained was just cold fact. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. My heart was tired of trying to break. Instead, I got to work. First, I made copies of everything Whit gave me. One set in a locked drawer at the office. Another in a safety deposit box I opened that day under a different name. Then I met with a lawyer, a quiet, sharp man named Reed who listened without interrupting and asked only the questions that mattered. Do you want a divorce? Yes. Do you want to file now? Not yet. Then what's your goal? I paused. To end this on my terms. Reed nodded. Tell me what that looks like. And I did. It took 3 hours, but when I left his office, I had a plan. A brutal one. Not illegal. Not vindictive. Just truth, delivered in a way she couldn't ignore, couldn't rewrite. I wasn't looking to make her suffer. I wanted her to see it, to feel it, to understand what she'd chosen. But before I could move forward, I needed to know one more thing. So I waited. That Friday, Emily finally texted me. "Hey, I know we need to talk. I'll come by tomorrow, okay?" No apology. No explanation. Just a scheduling update, like we were planning brunch. I stared at the message for a full minute before responding. Sure. 10 a.m. Saturday came cold and bright. I wore a blue button-down and dark jeans. Clean, precise. I wanted her to see me not as a wreck, not as the abandoned, grieving husband, but as someone composed. Whole. Not broken. Not begging. She arrived at 10:04. Hair done. Makeup light. That same green sweater she used to wear on Sundays when we'd walk by the lake. I let her in without a word. She walked through the house slowly, like it felt unfamiliar now. Maybe it did. She started, then paused. "I know I've been distant. And I'm sorry. Really I am." I nodded. "Where have you been?" She swallowed. "With a friend. Marcus." Her eyes flickered. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this. But you weren't going to tell me, were you?" Silence. I didn't know how. I motioned toward the kitchen, where a folder lay unopened. The same folder Whit had delivered, now reprinted with just the essentials. "Everything's in there," I said quietly. "I know who he is. I know where you've been. I know how long." Emily's face crumpled, but I offered no comfort. Her shoulders hunched, her gaze dropping to the table. "You're angry," she whispered. "I'm not angry," I said. "Not anymore." She sat down slowly, like her legs might give out. "It wasn't planned," she murmured. "I didn't go looking for it." "Did you go looking for me?" I asked. "For us." No answer. She wiped at her face, not crying yet, but close. "I kept telling myself I'd talk to you," she said. "After the party." "You mean the one you missed?" She flinched. "I planned that night for weeks," I said. "Every detail. Every moment. And while I stood under those lights waiting for you, you were with him." She opened her mouth, but I held up a hand. "No excuses. No stories. I just need to ask one thing." She nodded. "Why not just leave?" Silence stretched between us. "I didn't want to hurt you," she finally said. I almost laughed. "Almost. Hurt me? Emily, you didn't just hurt me. You erased me." Her lip trembled. I was afraid. Of losing everything. Of making the wrong choice. "So you made no choice," I said. "You just drifted into another life and hoped I wouldn't notice." I stood then. But I did notice. And now, I choose for both of us. She looked up at me, eyes wide. "What do you mean?" "I want a divorce." The words landed with a weight I didn't anticipate. Her breath caught, her face going slack. "Please, can we just—" "No," I said. "We can't fix this. You don't get to walk back into this house and pretend." She stood too. "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a choice." And then I walked away. She didn't follow. Later that night, after she was gone, I sat in the dark and pulled out my phone. I opened the photos again, the ones from the party. Smiling faces, half-drunk friends, confetti in the air. But none of Emily. Just an empty space where she should have been. And then, a new idea formed. Clear, sharp, perfect in its symmetry. If she wanted a new life, she could have it. But I was going to give her a memory she'd never escape. Something unforgettable. Something public. Something irreversible. I've always believed that revenge, to be meaningful, should mirror the original wound. Not louder, not crueler, just precise. The kind that slices cleanly, leaving no doubt why it happened. Emily's betrayal was public without being seen. She had performed her love for someone else in open daylight, restaurants, parks, cafes, all places where someone could have walked past and thought, they look perfect together. So I decided to return the favor. The idea came to me late one night, sitting in the living room surrounded by photos, receipts, and Whit's report. A plan began to take shape, quiet but unstoppable. Not about violence or scandal. That would be too easy. No, this had to cut through her image, through the story she'd built for herself. Her friends adored her. Her co-workers admired her. Her boss once called her the glue of the team. So I decided her unraveling should happen right in the heart of that little circle. I called it the celebration of love. It sounded harmless, romantic even. A second surprise party. I told her friends when I reached out to them. Emily and I are working things out, I said, injecting just the right note of sheepish warmth. I want to surprise her, make things right. The world loves a redemption story. They were ecstatic. One even offered to help with decorations. Leona's rooftop, the same place I had rented before, was still available for Saturday evening. I booked it. The manager remembered me, his expression cautious, as if recalling the night when everything had gone wrong. A second try? He asked. I smiled. Exactly. That week, I moved quietly. I met with the staff, arranged catering, lights, seating. I even ordered a fresh cake, the same double chocolate raspberry she loved. I knew she wouldn't come for me, but she'd come for appearances, for the illusion of forgiveness. I sent her an invitation 3 days before. Elegant script, sealed in an envelope. A celebration of love and new beginnings. Leona's rooftop. Saturday, 7 p.m. Come dressed for magic. Would thought I was insane when I told him. You're really going through with this? I nodded. I don't want her hurt, Wit. I want her seen. He didn't press. He'd seen enough broken men to recognize when someone was beyond being talked out of their plan. Saturday arrived crisp and cloudless. The city shimmered under a late autumn sun, leaves swirling along sidewalks like tiny flames. I wore a black suit, pressed and sharp. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Calm, cold, deliberate. Guests started arriving at 6:30. The same ones from before. Laughter filled the air again, brighter this time because they thought it was a story of reconciliation. So glad you two worked things out, they said, patting my back, raising glasses. I smiled at every one of them. My voice steady, my hands sure. At exactly 7:15, Emily arrived. She looked stunning. That green dress I'd bought her, the one she never wore. For a brief moment, I forgot to breathe. It felt almost cruel, how beautiful she could still look to me, even now. Marcus followed a few steps behind her. He hesitated when he saw the crowd, realizing this wasn't just a small dinner. He tried to retreat, but Emily caught his arm. Too late. Someone had already spotted them. Emily, a friend squealed. You made it. Dozens of heads turned. The murmur rippled through the room. Some confusion, some delight. I stepped forward, hands clasped. Welcome, I said, my voice carrying across the rooftop. I'm so glad you could all join us tonight. Emily froze halfway across the floor. What is this? She whispered, eyes wide. I smiled. A celebration of love. Like the invitation said. The crowd chuckled, expecting romance, reconciliation, maybe even a proposal redo. They were still unaware that they were about to witness something else entirely. I gestured toward the large screen mounted behind the bar. The DJ dimmed the lights on cue, and a soft melody began, one of Emily's favorite songs. Photos began to appear on the screen, Emily and me. Our wedding day, our honeymoon, birthdays, dinners. Smiles so vivid they almost felt alive. The crowd sighed, touched. I heard someone whisper, he really loves her. And then, the next photo appeared. Emily and Marcus, laughing over coffee, holding hands. The timestamp glowed faintly in the corner. Another photo followed, them walking into his building. Another, her head on his shoulder. The crowd's murmurs shifted, uneasy, confused. Emily stepped forward. Turn it off, she hissed. I didn't move. The screen kept cycling, each photo sharper, clearer, undeniable. Gasps spread through the room like a contagion. Someone whispered her name. Marcus's face drained of color. He started toward the exit, but the crowd closed around him, their curiosity and shock forming a living wall. Emily's voice broke. Please, stop this. I turned to her, finally meeting her eyes. You missed your first surprise party. I thought it was only fair to give you another. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Tears brimmed, catching the light. I loved you, I said softly, so only she could hear. I built my world around you, and you traded it for stolen weekends and half-truths. Her voice trembled. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. The final photo faded onto the screen, her birthday night, the one that started everything. The bar, her laughter, his hand on her thigh, and beneath it, in clean white text. While I waited under the lights, you were here. Silence swallowed the room. Only the wind and faint hum of the projector filled the space. Then someone clapped. A single, awkward sound. Another followed, unsure, until the room was filled with a strange, uneven applause. Not celebration, but disbelief. People began leaving quickly, voices low, eyes averted. The illusion of grace had collapsed. Marcus slipped out first, muttering something I didn't catch. Emily just stood there, trembling, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Finally, she whispered, "How could you do this to me?" I tilted my head. "How could you?" For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then she turned and walked out, the sound of her heels echoing down the stairs until it vanished into the night. I stood alone again beneath the same strings of lights. The same chair, the same cake, untouched on the table. But this time, there was no waiting. No confusion. Only a quiet, hollow certainty. I had ended it. Or so I thought. Because the next morning, a single message appeared on my phone, one that made my blood run cold. "You shouldn't have done that." No name. No number. Just that sentence, glowing on my screen like a warning. The message sat on my phone like a blade. "You shouldn't have done that." No name. No sender ID. Just silence afterward. No follow-up. No call. It was almost laughable, a veiled threat, like the villain in a low-budget thriller warning the hero he's gone too far. Except this wasn't a movie. This was my life, and I wasn't the hero. Not anymore. I didn't respond. Didn't even show it to Wit or Reed. Because I already knew where it came from. Marcus. He hadn't expected it to go public. Men like him never do. They live in shadows, feeding on secrecy. But once exposed, their power evaporates. What remained was fear. Shame. Rage. That Monday, the fallout began. Emily didn't go to work. Her office called me, confused, asking if she was sick. I said nothing. The next day, I learned she'd taken a leave of absence. Personal reasons. A vague phrase for a collapse you can't explain without opening wounds. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel anything, really, until the letter arrived. It came in a cream envelope with no return address, tucked between bills. Inside, a handwritten note. Not typed, not printed, but written in her neat, precise script. "James, I don't know how to explain the last few months. Maybe I won't even try. What I did was wrong. It was selfish, cowardly. I betrayed someone who loved me more than I ever deserved. That night, the party, I should have come. You had no idea how badly I wanted to. But I was already in too deep. And the deeper I went, the harder it became to face you. I started pretending I was someone else, someone brave enough to choose happiness. But I see now, it wasn't happiness. It was escape. And I escaped into a lie. I don't blame you for what you did. You didn't humiliate me, James. You revealed me. The person I really am. Maybe the person I've always been. I've left Marcus. That part, at least, I can say without hesitation. He was never my future. Just a reflection of how broken I had become. I won't fight the divorce. Whatever settlement your lawyer proposes, I'll sign it. I'm staying with my sister for now. Don't worry, I won't come back. Not unless you ask me to, and I know you won't. I loved you. I did. And I ruined it. I hope one day you find someone who sees what I saw and doesn't throw it away. You deserved so much more. I'm sorry. Emily. I read it twice. Then a third time. I didn't cry, but I didn't throw it away either. I folded it neatly and slipped it back into the envelope, then locked it in the drawer with everything else. With photos, the wedding album, the DNA test I never had the nerve to order. Some endings need a place to rest. The divorce moved quickly. Clean. Undramatic. Reed said she didn't challenge anything. No calls. No emails. Not even a fight over who got the dishes. She vanished from our shared life like dust shaken from a coat. A memory reduced to paperwork. 3 months passed. The holidays came and went. I skipped the usual family gatherings. I wasn't ready to answer questions, to pretend I was doing fine. I wasn't. But I was beginning. I sold the house. Too many echoes in the hallway. Moved into a smaller place across the river. 2 bedrooms, 1 study, no ghosts. I stopped checking her social media. Deleted old voicemails. Even changed my route to work so I wouldn't drive past Leona's anymore. Some days were better than others. Some were worse. But I kept going. And then one rainy afternoon, I saw her. I was standing in line at the grocery store, a basket of coffee, bread, a half-hearted attempt at cooking again, when she walked in. No makeup. Hair tied back. Alone. She didn't see me at first. But when our eyes finally met across the store, something passed between us. Not anger. Not longing. Just recognition. 2 people who once believed they'd grow old together. Now strangers in matching scars. She didn't come over. She just gave me the smallest nod, something between apology and goodbye, and turned away. And I let her go. Really let her go. Epilogue. It's been almost a year now. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the party. The first one, the one she never came to. I picture the lights, the cake, the music. I see myself standing there, holding a glass, waiting. But the waiting is over now. These days, I work a little more, travel a little farther. I've picked up photography again, something I abandoned when marriage felt like the only story I needed. I take long walks. I sleep better. I laugh. Not often, but when I do, it feels real. I even met someone. Not serious yet. Just dinners. Movies. A shared silence that doesn't feel heavy. She knows I was married. I told her the truth. Almost all of it. Except the party. That one, I keep to myself. Some memories are just for us. The ones that broke us. The ones that shaped us. The ones that remind us what we'll never settle for again.